Just finished the Speak Korean Naturally course on Speak, and as a native English speaker who is learning Korean for the first time through apps, here are my thoughts on it. So starting off with the pros, what I really like is they divide this course. They're very specific with the content they include in this course. It's basically divided into 4 units, but 3 different scenarios where like it's the most common that you would use Korean. So those 3 scenarios are restaurants, convenience stores, and cafes. I'm pretty sure they did this on purpose because this course is definitely oriented for somebody who is visiting Korea for the first time. They don't know any Korean, so they're just trying to navigate places where you would actually need to use it. Yeah, so I really enjoyed that they oriented the content of this course towards someone like myself who I'm going to Korea for the first time in a couple months. And yeah, these are pretty much the scenarios where I would actually need to speak Korean. Another pro about this is that the expressions you learn in the first unit, a lot of them carry over into the later units because they're pretty versatile and you end up using a lot of the same kind of expressions just with like slightly different vocabulary or verb forms in later units. Another thing about this course, so in the beginner Korean course, I forget what it was called, beginner level Korean course, there is a human instructor that like teaching you the content versus this one is like the first time I have done like basically like an AI teacher. There's no human teacher for any of the structured course content, but surprisingly it worked pretty well. The nature of the course is a lot more fast-paced than the beginner level Korean course. I kind of appreciated the faster paced content. They hold your hand a little bit less. They still hold your hand, but they hold your hand a little bit less in this course. I would say this is more like a higher level beginner course than straight up starting from nothing beginner level course. One final thing that I really liked is that I don't know if this was intentional or not, but they do use a lot of like English loanwords in their vocabulary that they teach you when they're teaching you expression, like especially at convenience stores or like the cafe. It's like panila latte. It's just you just say the drink, but in the Korean way. So that helped a lot with like being able to just focus on the structure of the expression rather than getting caught up in each sentence and trying to remember like, oh, how do you say this again? You're more focused on like, okay, how do I say I want this specific thing? And then, like follow just the structure of the expression. So it makes it, I think for me, it made it easier to internalize the expression and be able to apply it in a wider range of scenarios, if that makes sense. Yeah, I appreciated that about this course. I think the hardest one was probably Unit 2, which is weird. Like, I've found lately that, yeah, it's like the random unit in the middle that is the hardest for me compared to like the end units. Maybe it's because, I don't know, I think this had like the least English loanwords and also like I probably wasn't too familiar with the expressions being used yet. But yeah, I thought the cafe unit, like the final unit in this course, was really easy, and I thought unit two is why I took so long to do this course. This was personally just like the most difficult for me to get. Now let's move on to the cons about this course. So one, I mentioned earlier that it gives you very specific scenarios that it bases its content in. While I do appreciate how applicable they are right away when I would go on a trip to Korea, I didn't like how like I honestly wouldn't really be able to communicate a lot outside of these types of scenarios. Like I don't really know how to talk too much about myself or ask people questions about themselves, like making small talk, or just generally like have a conversation outside of like a worker customer scenario. So it's like if I were to practice Korean with a native Korean speaker, I would be pretty limited to my topics that I could talk about because I could really only at the end of the day it's like I'm mostly ordering and like ordering food or like asking where something is in a store, or ordering like a drink. So yeah, my range of topics that I could do in Korean is pretty limited still after this course. Another thing, this is more like a technical issue, I would say, rather than specific to this course, but this course is where I experienced it the most, is that some of the AI chatbots, like So at the end of each lesson, like I've said many times, you have like your final like test is this AI chatbot interaction. Some of those interactions, the speech recognition is just completely botched. Like it would not pick up what I said at all. It would it would completely misinterpret what I said when during the speaking drills and like other in the lesson, it recognized my speech fine. So I know it wasn't an issue with my pronunciation. There were multiple times where I had to just restart the whole scenario because it completely didn't recognize what I was saying, or I would have to talk really slowly like this, but in Korean. And, that's not a good experience. So, yeah, I'm not sure why it was the speech recognition in this course was like that because I don't remember that happening in the beginner level Korean courses. My final con is that I thought after this course I would be able to do like at least like the coffee shop free talk without any additional assistance. Like I would just be able to do it with the course content that I learned. But there is still like one thing that I don't know how to do, and it's like to ask for a recommendation for a hot drink. So I think I would need to just study how to say that, and then I'd be able to do the scenario because I do know how to pick a drink and then like ask where the bathroom is, but I'm not sure what the correlation is still between like the free talk that the ones that Speak has made. I know there's like a community one that people make themselves, but I still don't understand the correlation between these free talk topics and like how much course content you need to do to actually be able to do these. I'm really hoping that if I complete the intermediate course that then I could do it, at least some of these topics. Moving forward, I am excited to do the final course offering at the moment, which is the intermediate course. I feel like that'll be the most grammar focused maybe, and I'll like expand my vocabulary the most. And maybe the intermediate course would address a lot of the complaints I'm having where it'll expand the range of topics that I can, have a conversation about in Korean. But yeah, that is my review of Speak Korean Naturally course. Let's see how quick I can finish the intermediate course.